I should have never pressed play, but curiosity doesn't forgive. It's how this begins. Not with a haunted house, not with a midnight dare, not even with some long-forgotten urban legend whispered around a campfire. No. Mine began in the dull glow of a computer screen, in the safest place imaginable. A storage room at work. I was supposed to be cataloging old digital archives for disposal. Most of the drives were empty, wiped, or filled with junk data. But tucked away in a folder nested deeper than it had any reason to, I found it. A file that didn't belong. The name was wrong. Disturbingly wrong. Most files had bland titles like backup_2009 or restore. This one was labeled in jagged, broken text, SB_EPOX_FINAL_cut_do_not_play. That alone should have been enough. A sensible person would have dragged it straight into the trash bin and hit delete. But that little word forbidden sit scratched at me like an itch I couldn't reach. Why not play it? What made it so different? I told myself it was just some dumb prank file, a fan edit, maybe even an old joke from one of the tech guys before me. And yet, the longer I stared at it, the heavier it felt. Like the file itself was watching me back. That's ridiculous, right? A file can't do that. It can't breathe down your neck, can't make your palms sweat. But I swear, in that moment, I felt dread crawl up my spine like icy fingers. Still, I clicked. The folder shuddered literally. The screen flickered as if the computer itself resisted. And then the thumbnail appeared. A freeze frame of SpongeBob's face. But not the SpongeBob I remembered. His eyes were too wide, pupils too small, skin slightly gray, almost sickly, like someone had drained the cheer right out of him. I almost backed out then. Almost. But you know how it is when something feels wrong. Your brain clings harder. You can't look away from a car crash once you've glimpsed it. Curiosity becomes hunger. So I opened the file. The player hesitated, stuttered, and then the screen went black. My speakers hissed. A low, almost wet static dripped through them like someone was whispering just outside the room. And then the episode title card. It looked normal at first. White bubble letters floating against a blue background, jaunty music, just like always, except there was no title, just blank space where words should be. And the music hit wobbled, slowed, as if the tape was warping. My chest tightened. This wasn't just some corrupted file. No, it was deliberate. Should have closed the player, turned off the computer, pretended I never saw it, but something in me needed to see more. I leaned closer, heart hammering, waiting for the cartoon to begin. And before I tell you what I saw, you need to understand something. This isn't a story I want to share. It's one I have to. Because if you're listening to this, if my words are reaching you, then part of me hopes you'll turn back. Shut this off. Forget my voice. Forget this file ever existed. But I know you won't. Nobody ever does. So listen carefully. Watch closely. Because after this point, the line between fiction and reality blurs. And once you cross it, there's no going back. I told myself it was just a stupid cartoon. Just SpongeBob, but that was before. The episode started. I wasn't looking for anything. That's the part that bothers me most. People imagine these stories start with some grand hunt for forbidden knowledge, dark forums, shady Discord servers, endless scrolling for urban legends. But the truth? I was bored. Just another night at my desk. Monitor glow reflecting off a half-empty coffee mug. Fingers numbly tapping refresh across the same 3 tabs. Work emails, news feed, a half-forgotten subreddit thread. That's it. That's all it took to ruin everything. See, I'd always rolled my eyes at the deep web legends. The kind, grainy screenshots of cursed files. Lists of videos that supposedly make you disappear if you watch them all the way through. That kind of trash. Stories kids pass around at sleepovers to feel dangerous without ever leaving their bedrooms. I told myself I was smarter than that. I laughed at people who chased those myths. But then, the link showed up. It was buried halfway down an old forum chain. 3 or 4 users arguing about whether lost episodes were just creepypasta or based on something real. Most of them were trolls, clearly. Then I saw it. An anonymous post. Single line, no username, no timestamp. If you want proof, click here. That was it. No build-up, no context, no emoji arrows begging for attention. Just a dead gray hyperlink that looked like it hadn't been touched in years. And that should have been the first red flag. The internet doesn't leave things untouched. Not unless someone or something wants it that way. I hovered. I swear my hand didn't want to. The cursor just lingered over it like my muscles weren't mine anymore. You ever feel your pulse in your fingertips? That's what it was like. Every nerve buzzing, whispering, just one click. Everyone says, don't click links you don't trust. But what happens if you do? Found out. The page that opened didn't look like much. Just black text on a gray screen. Basic HTML, ugly font, no images. But the words "it" felt like they were looking back at me. Do not continue. You will not like what you find. That's all it said. I laughed out loud. Actually laughed because it was so. But beneath the laugh was something else. Something tight in my throat. I almost closed it. Almost, but I typed back. Yeah, there was a little text box at the bottom. Like a chat room no one had used in decades. The kind of relic that shouldn't even work anymore. I don't even remember what I wrote. Probably something smug. Probably something like, okay, prove it. The reply came instantly. Welcome back. Not welcome. Not hello. Welcome back. I froze. My coffee mug rattled as I set it down too hard. The words pulsed on the screen like a heartbeat, syncing with mine. Then the screen flickered. Not the whole browser, my monitor. A quick static ripple across the edges. For a second I thought it was my eyes, or maybe my graphics card dying. But then I saw it. It's the webcam light. Blink. On. Off. Like it was winking at me. I didn't move. Didn't even breathe. Just stared at that little green dot until my vision blurred. When I finally looked back at the screen, the page had changed. File available. SpongeBob episode 031B lost.avi. There it was. Download link, pulsing faintly like it was alive. I should have closed the browser right then, unplugged my computer, thrown it out the window maybe. But curiosity doesn't forgive. It doesn't let go once it sinks its teeth into you. I clicked. The download bar popped up, crawling across the screen like it was struggling under some invisible weight. Every few seconds, it would stutter freeze, then jump forward again. My speakers hissed, faint static leaking out. Even though no audio should have been playing, swear I heard whispering. Just under the noise, like someone pressing their mouth against the inside of the monitor, breathing words I couldn't quite catch. That's when my webcam light blinked again, on, and it didn't go off this time. A reflection in the screen wasn't quite right. Too dark, too sharp around the edges. Like someone else was sitting where I should have been. The download finished with a chime that didn't sound like my computer, a sound I still can't describe. Not a beep, not a ding, something wet, organic, like a drop of water hitting the inside of a skull. The file was there, waiting. SpongeBob _EP_031B_lost.avi. And I thought, stupidly, it's just a cartoon. It's just SpongeBob. The episode started. The screen shouldn't have loaded. That's the first thing I remember thinking. It was the kind of page you'd expect a bad hacker movie to show. Gray background, jittery black text, no logos, no ads. Just a message board. Old school, minimal, almost sterile. At the top, a phrase flickered like it was typed live. Welcome back. I hadn't signed in. I hadn't even been here before. There were threads, but their titles didn't read like normal discussions. No favorite movies, or what's your Wi-Fi speed. Instead, they looked like codes. Things like thread 4829. Glass won't hide you thread 0191. Don't stop watching. Thread 6674. Offer accepted. Each one pulsed faintly, as if alive. I should have clicked away, closed the laptop, slammed the lid and walked off. But curiosity is a disease, and I was already infected. I clicked the one that read, "Don't stop watching." The page shifted. First it was empty, but slowly, like someone typing in real-time, messages began to appear. No lie. Prove you're real. Ashmouth watchers only. 6 HANDS. Don't let your screen sleep. I stared. My name wasn't there. But then a new line popped up. You made it. That one didn't have a username. Just 3 question marks. My stomach dropped. This wasn't some archive. This was live. Against all reason, I typed, "Me. What is this?" Almost instantly replies, "Stacked Ashmouth bait." No lie, he doesn't know. 6 hands, then show him. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat. Then a new message appeared. Appeared except it didn't look typed. It looked scheduled. System timestamp. September 15th, 2025. 23 hours, 19 minutes, and 54 seconds. The problem. It was September 15th, 2025. 23 hours, 19 minutes, and 52 seconds. 2 seconds in the future. I thought it was a bug, till the next line arrived exactly 2 seconds later. Your phone is buzzing. And right then, my phone buzzed. I froze. My chest felt like someone shoved ice water into it. I hadn't given a number. I hadn't typed an email. I hadn't linked anything. Shaking, I picked it up. Unknown number. 1-word text. Look. Back on the forum, the thread kept growing. Ashmouth, Rule 1. Don't stop watching. Nolly, Rule 2. Prove you're real. 6 HANDS. Rule 3. Don't leave. My laptop camera light flickered. On, off, on, like it was blinking at me. I slammed the settings menu open, but there was nothing using the cam. Nothing visible, at least. The forum updated again. He's panicking. Ashmouth. Good. Delete. Feed on it. Feed. I don't know why, but that word made my whole body tense. It's like I wasn't just talking to people like I was something's dinner. I typed again. Fingers stiff. Me. Who are you? Who are you? That reply didn't appear on my screen. It appeared in a notification on my phone. Push alert like from an app. Except I hadn't installed anything. That's when I noticed something worse. The top bar of the forum had changed. It no longer read "Welcome back." Now it said, "He's still here." I tried closing the tab. Nothing. Tried shutting the browser. Pros mid-exit. Trell plus Alt plus Del. Useless. It was like my whole laptop belonged to them. The forum chat didn't stop. 6HANDS. Test him. Ashmoth. Name one of us. Nully. Or else. The rules, the pressure, it felt ritualistic, not random. Like I had wandered into a ceremony I wasn't supposed to witness. My screen flashed. White. When it returned, there was a photo on my desktop. A new file I hadn't downloaded. The photo was me. At my desk, from my webcam, only one thing was wrong. In the photo, there was a shape standing behind me. I whipped around. Nothing, just my room, dim and still. But when I turned back, the forum had one last update. Don't look away. And I didn't. I couldn't. The screen felt like gravity itself, pulling my eyes toward it. That was the first night I realized something ugly. You don't just find places like this online, they find you. And once you're in, doors don't close, they only open wider. I used to laugh at people who put tape over their laptop cameras. Paranoid freaks, I thought. The kind who wore tinfoil hats and swore the government was tracking their Netflix habits. But that night, when the little green light on my webcam blinked on without me touching anything, when I saw my own confused face staring back from the corner of my screen, I wasn't laughing anymore. The forum had been weird enough already. The cryptic usernames, the cult-like rules, the way people talked like every post was a ritual or a command. But at least that was confined to the screen. I could minimize the window, close the tab, unplug the router if I really wanted. Or so I thought, because the messages didn't stop when I logged out. The first one came through an email I don't remember giving anyone. Nice curtains. That's all it said, just 2 words. But I froze, staring at the pale floral fabric fluttering gently in the breeze from my half-open window. I shut it immediately, locked it, pulled the curtain tight. My rational brain tried to explain it away. A lucky guess, a prank. Maybe the forum scraped some data. But then came the second message. The left drawer in your desk. Bottom one. Open it. I didn't want to. God, I didn't want to. But curiosity is a sick thing. It gnaws at you like hunger. So I slid the drawer open. And there it was. The half-empty pack of cigarettes I hadn't touched in months, hidden under some old receipts, exactly where they said it would be. I slammed it shut. You think you're safe because you didn't click? Because you're just reading this like it's some horror story on a forum or a thread in the dead hours of the night? Think again? Some of you already did. Maybe by accident, maybe because you couldn't resist. Maybe even now there's a new tab open in your background. Don't bother checking. I promise it won't be there when you look. But they'll know you looked. They'll know you wanted to. My phone buzzed next. Block number. No caller ID. I answered anyway, because apparently fear makes you stupid. At first, nothing. Just silence. Then a faint sound. Breathing. Heavy. Deliberate breathing like someone wanted me to hear every drag of air into their lungs. I hung up. It rang again. Same silence. Same breathing. I tossed the phone across the room. Didn't matter. I kept buzzing on the floor like a trapped insect. I told myself to calm down. It was all scare tactics. Social engineering. Hackers with too much free time. So I made a joke to myself, muttered under my breath like it would help. Should have bought the premium antivirus. And then the lights flickered. Not a power surge, not the bulb dying. Every light in the apartment dimmed and pulsed at once, like the whole building was breathing in sync with that voice on the phone. That's when I heard it, the knock. Not at the door. That would have almost been normal. No, it came from the window. 3 soft taps against the glass, like someone's knuckles barely brushing it. I live on the 3rd floor. There's no balcony, no fire escape. Nothing but empty air outside that window. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stared at the thin curtain as it swayed with the night air. The shadow behind it moved too slow, deliberate, human-shaped. Another knock. Louder this time. I should have called the cops, should have run, should have screamed, anything. But I couldn't do any of that, because my laptop screen lit up again on its own, casting the whole room in a pale glow. And there it was, the stream. Not the forum, not the chat. A live feed of me. I was on the screen, sitting in my chair, frozen with terror. Behind me, just at the edge of the frame, the curtain shifted. Figure, pale, tall, watching. The knock came again, except this time it didn't sound like knuckles. It sounded like fingernails dragging slowly down the glass. I thought I was losing my mind. Until I saw the stream. I thought I'd hit rock bottom when they started sending me messages about my address. It's my life, the stuff they shouldn't have known. But no, that was just the prelude. The real descent began the night I realized I wasn't the one watching anymore. I was the show. It started with a sound. A faint click from my laptop, like the shutter of a tiny camera lens opening. My screen flickered, blacked out, then came back, not to my desktop, not to my files, but to something far worse. A streaming window. And inside it, staring back at me, was me. The image was grainy at first, a low-res webcam feed with washed-out colors. My face was caught in that awkward angle I always tilt away from during Zoom calls. Only this time, there was no mute button, no red camera off icon. Just me, breathing too hard, eyes too wide. And then the chat appeared, scrolling text, usernames I half recognized from the forum, others brand new. Messages flooding the screen in real time. He looks pale, like he already knows. Blink twice if you're real. Bro doesn't even know what room he's in. Turn around, I froze. Every survival instinct screamed at me not to. But curiosity won, doesn't it always? I turned. Nothing behind me. Just the same cracked wall, the same mess of books and cables. When I looked back at the stream, the chat was laughing. He looked. They always look. 10/10 reaction time. He's one of us now. Would have been almost funny in a twisted way, if not for the fact that I hadn't joined anything. I hadn't given them permission. And yet there they were, dissecting me like I was just another piece of content, another viral moment. The messages got sharper, more specific. One of them typed my full name. Another posted the title of an email I'd drafted earlier that day but never sent. Then, tell us about the scar on your arm. I yanked my sleeve down instinctively, covering it. How did they know? That was when the laughter in the chat stopped. The tone shifted. He hides things. He doesn't understand the rules. Prove you're real. That phrase again. I'd seen it before. Buried in the forum threads. Back then it sounded like a joke, some initiation ritual. But staring at my own face on their feed, I realized it wasn't a joke. It was a demand.
Ow.
I tried closing the window. ALTF for nothing worked. Every attempt just spawned another stream window, multiplying like roaches across my screen until my laptop was a kaleidoscope of my own horrified expression. Then the audio kicked in. I didn't hear it through my speakers. I heard it through my room, whispered voices. So faint, I thought at first it was just my blood pressure spiking. But no, the words were real, layering over each other in a susurrus of digital static and wet breath. He thinks he can shut us out. Smile for them. Don't stop watching. The chat mirrored the whispers. It's perfectly synchronized. Like they weren't typing, like they were transcribing. I slammed the laptop shut. Darkness. For a few seconds, I thought I'd broken free. My chest was heaving, sweat dripping down my temples, but at least the voices were gone, till I realized the faint glow hadn't vanished. My webcam light was still on, and worse, the chat notifications kept coming. Not on my laptop now, on my phone, on my tablet. On the TV in the next room that hadn't been plugged in for months, every screen was awake, every screen watching, every screen showed the same thing. Me, sitting in my dark room, staring at a closed laptop like it was a coffin lid. The chat kept pouring in. Thousands of voices now, usernames scrolling so fast they blurred into one endless command. Stay still. This is where it gets good, maybe the most terrifying one. He's not alone. My blood froze, because they were right. I hadn't moved. But in the reflection on my black laptop screen, I saw it just behind me, framed in the dim blue glow of the monitor, a figure too tall for my apartment. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle, like it was studying me. The chat exploded. Yes, he sees it now. Don't run. Running makes it worse. Finally, the guest of honor. My heart hammered so hard I thought I'd pass out. I told myself it was a trick of the light, a hallucination born from stress, but deep down I knew better, because when I turned slow, shaking, terrified, the figure was still there, not behind me, not in the room. But it wasn't my reflection. It wasn't the webcam feed. This was something else. Something watching with them, watching through them. Its eyes locked on mine with a hunger I'd never seen before. That was the moment I understood. I wasn't the content. I wasn't the main attraction. I was just the invitation. And the worst part wasn't that they were watching me. It was that something else was, too. I told myself it was just a game. A sick, voyeuristic corner of the internet where anonymity breeds cruelty and people like me stumble in by mistake. But the longer I stared at the stream, the less the comments looked like human typing. They started bending. Words weren't words anymore, just symbols that seemed to crawl across the screen, pulsing like veins. The chat didn't scroll, it spread. And every time I blinked, the shapes rearranged themselves into new patterns I couldn't fully understand. Some of you reading this will want to Google them. I'll think you're clever, that it's just another ARG, another rabbit hole. Don't. That's how they mark you. The act of seeking them makes them turn toward you. And once they look once, you feel the weight of that gauze. You'll never unfeel it. I know because I felt it. At first it was subtle. The shadows in my room seemed to twitch a half-second behind me, like lag in a video call. When I lifted my hand, the silhouette on the wall hesitated, then followed with a stuttered jerk. My chest tightened. My rational brain scrambled for explanations, bad wiring. My eyes strained, some trick of adrenaline. But then the shadows didn't just mirror me. They started copying what the stream was showing. I'd glance at the corner of my screen and see myself sitting there, hunched and pale under the glow of my monitor. Then, in the background of the feed, something moved, shape too tall, too thin, lurking behind me. My head whipped around, heart pounding. Nothing. Just the wall. But the shadow was still there. Not on the wall. Not in the room. On the screen, it bent closer to me in pixels, its edges jagged. like it was being compressed through a format it wasn't meant to fit in. The chat erupted in fractured symbols and half-words, and I realized with sick clarity it wasn't the forum members reacting, it was the others. They weren't spectators. They were feeding. You might think I'm being dramatic, might think I've lost touch. Believe me, I wish I had. Because what came next proved that this wasn't delusion, it was intrusion. Nausea. The air in my room felt heavy, like static before a storm. My screen dimmed, even though the power stayed on. And when I tried to type in a message to scream into the void for help, the keyboard didn't respond. But the chat kept typing. Lines of text appeared as if my own thoughts were being scraped raw and posted before I could form them. Half sentences I'd never said, but had thought dark things, shameful things, flooded the feed. My secrets, my private moments, all ripped out of me and fed to an audience I couldn't see. And worse, the shadows seemed to like it. They swelled with every revelation, pressing closer to the edges of the room, their forms quivering with a grotesque eagerness. Imagine standing in a room full of people you can't see, all of them breathing harder the more you bleed. That's what it felt like. I tried not to look. I tried to keep my eyes fixed on the floor, but movement kept pulling me back. And that's when I saw the shadow nearest the window wasn't mine. It smiled. I swear on everything I have left, I saw it, grin stretching impossibly wide, teeth sharp and glinting in a mouth that shouldn't exist in negative space. And when I gasped, it mimicked me a beat later, like some cruel parody. That was when I understood. I was never meant to just watch. I was always meant to perform. The forum, the live feed, the watchers, they weren't the main attraction. They were the curtain. Behind them, beneath them, feeding through them, are the others. Parasitic things that learn to hitchhike on human curiosity, to wrap themselves in the wires and signals of our devices until we invited them into our rooms. And here's the part that should scare you most. Once they show up, they don't leave. They don't vanish when the screen turns off or when the device is smashed. It's the connection has already been made. You are the host, and they will keep watching until you have nothing left to give. Even now, as I type this, the shadows are growing restless. They don't like me warning you. They don't like their names even hinted at. That's why I can't write them in full. Words have power, and some strings of letters are less safe than others. But maybe you've already noticed something shifting in your room as you read this. Maybe the corner of your vision feels too heavy, too still. Maybe the shadows aren't exactly where you left them. If so, stop. Close this. Don't finish. Because the more you know, the closer they get. And some of you, I can already tell, won't stop. I did the only thing that made sense. I grabbed the laptop off my desk and brought it down hard against the floor. Once, twice, again. The plastic cracked, screen bleeding black across the glass like oil spreading in water. Sparks hissed. My room filled with the smell of burnt circuits. For a second, there was silence. For a second, I thought I'd won. But the chat didn't stop. The words kept crawling across the ruined screen, fractured glass glowing faintly in the dark. Greater than he thinks, that works greater than lol. Smash harder. Greater than lol. Then feed doesn't end just 'cause you want it to. That's when I knew I hadn't destroyed the laptop. I'd only revealed how little it mattered. I yanked the plugs from the wall. Every cable, the router, the lamp, everything. My room plunged into shadow. The only light came from the broken laptop still glowing, still whispering. I left it, ran down the stairs. My bare feet slapped against cold tile, keys, shoes, door, anything to get out. But the door wouldn't open. The lock spun, not with my hand, but as if some invisible hand on the other side was keeping them in place. The metal rattled, mocking me. And then I saw it. Out the narrow window above the sink. Perfectly still. No face. Just the dark outline of a watcher. He wasn't looking at my house. He was looking through it. Straight at me. I bolted to the back door. Locked. Windows slammed shut. I grabbed a chair and hurled it at the glass. It bounced back as if the air itself had hardened. The shadows in the kitchen lengthened. They weren't mine. They bent wrong, stretching across the floor, even though no light source explained them. I swear I heard them breathing. That's when the feed spoke again, without the screen. Just a whisper at the base of my skull. Greater than keep running. Greater than it looks good on camera. Greater than he doesn't know he's looping. Ah, that word stuck with me. I ran upstairs again, heart hammering. But something was wrong. My house. It had changed. The hallway seemed longer. The doors were in the wrong places. My bedroom door opened into the kitchen. The kitchen door led back to the stairs. I wasn't escaping. I was circling. Like a rat in a maze that wasn't meant to end. And in every loop I caught flashes. Out of the corner of my eye, watchers leaned from door frames, sometimes faceless, sometimes with grins stretched too wide. Sometimes, worst of all, they looked like me. I tried screaming, maybe someone would hear, but the walls swallowed my voice. The only reply was the echo of myself, 1 second too late. Then came the chat again, this time scribbled across the walls in flickering text. Greater than louder. Scream more greater than the audience likes desperation. I slammed my fists against the drywall until skin split. Pain kept me tethered, but not enough. Not when time was folding like paper, creasing back on itself. At some point, I don't know when, I found myself outside, streetlights buzzing. The faceless man still there, though not one man, dozens. They lined the sidewalks, every lawn, every shadow between the lamps. Waiting, they didn't move. But their presence pressed against me, like being crushed by silence itself. I stumbled forward, barefoot on rough asphalt. My neighborhood looked normal. Houses, cars, mailboxes, except every window glowed faintly blue. Every house was watching, and inside those windows, I saw myself. Dozens of me at different moments. Running, screaming, smashing the laptop, begging into the camera. It was all already happening, already recorded. That's when I understood. There was no out. If you're still listening, you should probably stop. But I know you won't. Curiosity kills more than cats. You're waiting for me to tell you how I escaped. Here's the truth. I didn't. Every attempt I make only feeds the loop. Every breath I take is just another line of content. Maybe that's why you're hearing me now, because my panic is still fresh, still good for engagement. And maybe you think you're safe, because you're on the other side. Listener. A spectator. But that's how it starts. We all think we're watchers, until we realize we're being watched. So here I am, which brings me back to right now. I can see the text appearing at the edges of my vision as I speak. I don't even need a screen anymore. Almost done. Wait for it. He'll realize soon. Realize what? That maybe you're not just reading me. Maybe you're streaming me. And if you're still here, if the words are still in your head, If the shadows in your room feel just a little too thick, it's already too late. I should stop here. I should let the silence bury everything I've said. Let you turn this off and pretend none of it followed you into the dark corners of your room. But if I don't finish, it just keeps looping back, and I can already hear the static rising again. Maybe you think this was just another creepypasta, some anonymous ramble stitched together from the bones of every ghost story you've scrolled past at 3 a.m. But maybe this was me reaching you. Right now, while I still can. If you've made it this far, you've already felt it, that pull to glance at the edges of your screen. The prickle under your skin that something else is listening along with you. Don't look too long. Don't try to name them. Some words are doors, and doors don't always close once they're opened. Comment what you saw if you survive long enough to type. Some of you will, most won't. That's the rule. It's how the cycle stays alive. Check your webcam. You see it too?